that you play as the world's first bloodless human who experiences
no G-force at all.
Jupiter strength G-forces that he regularly conducts.
Hey, how's it going, people? I hope that you all are having a wonderful weekend. So, can you guess what we're checking out today? Well, you don't have to because you read the title. Today we're checking out the highly requested Project Wingman. And as Apple Watch max0r's review of Ace Combat 7 and Ace Combat 0, in which was written or stated that this game was made by and for Ace Combat fans, I'm guessing that this is once again when you're playing as a flying mute with your amazingly named pilots, companions, whatever, committing genocide, and of course, the time where you, in order to truly, and I do mean truly, get the full experience of the game, will have to borrow your dad's homemade flight sim that he only uses to play Google Earth Simulator on Bing. But no, I'm imagining that this game is actually pretty freaking awesome, and it came out in 2020, so let's check it out.
Project Wingman is a game which encapsulates and defines the term competitive genocide. In a world where Yellowstone National Park has had enough, humanity is plunged into a post-apocalypse where the laws of war are null and void. We play as a mute, possibly autistic psychopath, hell-bent on his mission to fight the Australian Illuminati, featuring such notable species as the land battleship, the battleship, and the battle bus, across a multitude of varied and interesting locations like the apocalyptic wasteland that is Los Angeles.
Okay, I'm guessing that now we're taking the fight back to the US, huh? We're gonna liberate you with much freedom. But okay, I've heard of the Arab Illuminati, obviously. There is also the Italian one, which, thank you Dan Brown for making that into the thing. Well, it was an actual organization during the Age of Illumination. But of course, who could have forgotten the Eye of Providence on the dollar bill, turning the US into this conspiracy that it is today. But knowing that our Aussies neighbors down under also have one? Okay.
Caught in the middle of a conflict between the Pacific Federation and Cascadia, our protagonist is forced to put aside his fight with Jack Sparrow in Louisiana to conduct a second American Revolution and facilitate tax evasion. As a member of the Sicario mercenary group, you're given the tools of destruction you need to fight off the Antichrist. Because in this universe, the UN does not solve conflict, it starts it and then escalates it. So like most problems in the world, we resort instead to base violence as a means of international dispute. Bring your jets, your guns, your bombs, and your napalms, because we're going absolute Barbarossa. Confused? Good.
Good.
We live in a society where this is canonically as expensive as a Mercedes and holds 182 missiles. So if you want to see a parade of destruction, melodrama, questionable engineering choices, and King Crimson, then let me be your guide into the wonderful world of Project Wingman, humanity's first jet-centric game where California finally explodes.
Freaking finally! The trick-roll that you've been waiting for. After such bombastic cinematic genius such as the appropriately named 2012 and who could have forgotten Battle of Los Angeles featuring such clever lines as
Mahalo, motherfucker.
We now have Project Wingman. Let's freaking go.
Now, I know what you're thinking. A jet game, Max? You've gone insane. Jet games are played by dads that have 12 keyboards and people with actual money. And while it may appear to you that I have money, it's only because I spend it very responsibly. You will be happy to know that Project Wingman is neither a simulation nor has it dug into my extensive budget. I would describe the game as more about piloting a slow Gundam than the actual intricacies of real air combat. Only in Project Wingman can you do the boss fight against the guy with 12 railguns and his force fields. And yes, the force fields do turn into railguns, just like
what?
Most people think that jet combat is just about circling, and yeah, that's a thing. But the difference is in how it's contextualized and iterated on, which is by insane people. One mission you might be firefighting, and the next thing you know, Crimson 1 appears for the 6th time near the active volcano. How many flight games do you know include lava damage? And do you want to know the best part? The game is fully playable in VR. Please don't use a keyboard, which allows you to do some goofy shit, like physically exiting your cockpit in the middle of a battle. Okay, it's...
Wait a minute. Wait a freaking... This is from Project Wingman. I didn't know. Look, like in the beginning of the pandemic, around, well, 2020, Like most people were, well, gamers were doing just fine. You know, we're prepared for this, staying indoors. But there were like, for example, teachers who had difficulties having to teach to the students. Some managed to, for example, use a game such as Half-Life Alyx to actually teach in VR, which was pretty freaking ingenious. But then I caught a clip of something like this in on Reddit, and I didn't know. Okay, that's pretty awesome.
It's a little windy, but I'm ready. Does anyone else feel lightheaded? I will say, though, that in order to get the real VR experience, you'll have to repeatedly rotate your head with the light brick strapped to it. I lasted 4 missions on average before recoiling permanently warped my spine. You use the radar in your plane by physically looking down, not that you'll be able to by the end. Reviewing the footage, I noticed that there were moments in the game where I just died. That's not me taking off the headset, I just gave up on life. No game will ever make you feel this old, and nothing increases the immersion more than specifically choosing planes with as little visibility as possible for the extra challenge. I beat the entire game in 2 painful sessions, but I had never experienced anything like this ever since my house nearly burned down while playing VTOL VR. What the fuck? So in terms of VR, it's a must-have, because only in VR can we express the true—
I should be laughing at that, really.
Driving. So how do we fly our death machine? VR controls, after all, are difficult. Mr. Smart Guy over here thinks he knows how hands work. First of all, you'll need to get inside your real Project Wingman trademark plane. Turn on the main battery, whatever this is. Turn on the engines, but not too fast. Close your canopy. Clasp the shitting grip. Display. I don't know what this does. Boot Windows. Microsoft Pinball. Smash that radar button. Hit subscribe. Turn off the brakes. Make sure you give the joystick—
Don't forget to click on that bell icon too.
The carrier's catapult. We're just gonna pray. You'll notice I forgot to unfold the wings, which are now detached from the plane. Wingless percent speed landing gear. You'll notice controlling an aircraft without wings is hard. That's alright. The guys on that destroyer don't have family. Now that we're in the air and in the correct game, what am I supposed to do? The answer is remarkably simple. Missiles. There's a reason you can carry several hundred of them. Missiles are fucking everything. Every specialized weapon for all your terrestrial needs are various permutations of a missile. It's actually a problem because
I like that with the equation.
Unguided bombs. If you want to miss. Ace Combat at least had the gall to let me use an unguided laser, but I don't know, what else can you put on a jet? A fucking dolphin? I don't want to emulate the Wii. You also have the option of a gun, which might as well be a laser, and is the most reliable way to kill anything,
what
including
the
entire battleships. What is in the fucking ammo? If normal
bolter rounds,
Chicago would be a nuclear wasteland by tomorrow, as opposed to the current wasteland that it is now. Besides that, the controls are exactly what I want out of a jet game, and I don't think they can be improved. What truly makes a combat encounter in the game isn't the simple controls, it's how they're multiplied by the 6 pursuing aircraft. Unlike Ace Combat 7, your allies have the ability to minorly inconvenience each other. They will do, per mission, at least $3 of damage. So the balance between you annihilating everything and there being an actual battle is pretty good, although majorly stacked. Your success is uniquely predicated on the fact that you play as the world's first bloodless human who experiences
no G-force at all.
Jupiter strength G-forces that he regularly conducts. You use your newfound power to conduct a series of engagements. 21 engagements. That's a lot of potential war crime trials, which is why we have to win. That being said, anything that we do pales in comparison to the good accomplished by nuking America. We're gonna have to play catch-up. Our liberation will take us all across the video game against all manner of foes, including the planes, the big planes, armies of helpless soldiers with families, and dogs, and the Federation fleet. Wait, who is
no, freaking Torres.
Fuck. But what really stands out are the boss fights. Yes, the plane game with boss fights. Shinji, get in the plane. We have to fight the angels or some shit.
No, Dad, I want to whoopee. Get in the goddamn plane, Shinji.
And as for their weaponry, well, it's not physically possible. In order, you fight Crimson Squadron, French woman, and her Australian babe. It's 4 p.m. Time to get in the plane. Crimson Squadron, and Crimson Squadron's very angry nuclear enthusiast. More about him later.
Wow.
He's a guy. You can probably tell that it's character and the dialogue that keeps the game alive. Project Wingman would be an entirely different game if you weren't constantly hearing more complaining than a fucking call center. Silence is so rare that when your ally flips his shit and demands people stop fucking talking, everyone is surprised. So just by playing the game, you get a lot of lore. So I think it's a good time to talk about that. Our story begins, like many, in Wyoming, where Yellowstone National Park does a little trolling, causing the tectonic plates to fucking rupture. In an instant, the entire modern age and Christianity in particular is ended. This, however, however, created a mysterious, volatile material called cordium, which effectively gave everyone free geothermal energy.
Wait,
And
like
also bombs.
Iceland?
What emerged hundreds of years later are the countries of the Pacific: Neo-Mongolia, Large Hawaii, Oceania, and Cascadia. Oceania in particular was once invaded by a cabal of mercenaries attempting to establish diamond dogs or some shit. Thank God that we had Skullface there to help us out. In fact, nearly every military engagement since then has been swayed exclusively by methed up mercenaries. To prevent further challenges to their rule, the Federation tightened its power to include all of the death squads, but primarily Cascadia was just mad that other people were allowed to.
Hold on. Are we actually having a game where instead of just watching, the UN kicks in? But oh no, he said in the beginning that they actually escalate the situation though. So it's not too untraditional for them.
To use the limitless supply of energy that they had and wanted to sell it to everyone else at a ridiculous markup. This
I'm
sets the
memeing,
scene
of course.
for a war of independence, which you are caught in the middle of, or rather, insert yourself into for money. Now the thing is, Cascadia is a real nation that exists in the imagination of insufferable people. So I can attest that the geography of where I live is well suited to guerrilla warfare. The entire Cascadian fleet, for instance, is one stolen ship called the Eminent Domain. The Federation, though, is not without a contingency plan. All across their empire, the Federation establishes peacekeepers, that's the real name, elite fighter squadrons of questionable sanity and engagement timing. The peacekeepers are so confident that they arrive late to every single battle that they're in. This directly causes their failure 90% of the time, by the way. The peacekeepers we encounter are the Crimson Squadron, one such group of elites so dedicated that they risked losing their entire air force, went to a volcanic suicide mission, and nuked millions of people because you owned them. Their squadron is led by the infamous and powerful Crimson One, who was elected the whitest among all Oregonians. Unfortunately, he's quite dedicated. Crimson One's idea of protecting his homeland under the banner of the Federation involves nuking it. Twice. It's like he's trying to make anime. He's saving his people from the pain of living. What barbarism will people slip into if we don't have the common travel passes? He's a blast to fight, unlike his friends. I wouldn't consider fighting his squadron to be the peak of gameplay. The game's bosses can be divided into two categories. Bosses that have railguns and this shit. You dodge the Crimson Squadron's missiles by rapidly turning as they approach. But Crimson Squadron themselves are always rapidly turning, sometimes at a 90-degree angle, meaning there is no movement. While pursuing them, you are invincible. Here's how you fight Crimson Squadron. Turn towards them. Fire a missile. Miss. Fire a missile. Repeat like 10 times until they die.
Oh, and you gotta do this like 8 different times for each individual plane. I am progressively losing my mind. My name is Cleveland Brown.
All in all, dogfights and lore, you know, that's pretty cool, but that's not why you should play the game. Project Wingman is the manic pixie dream girl of vehicle combat. Most battles feature building-sized sky ships. That was an entire boss in Ace Combat 7, and the game's just like, well, have two of them fight. Fuck it, you use the lasers. Everything you do has a specific melodramatic reason as part of the wider narrative, and just watching that unfold and how it affects gameplay is the real draw. I see no other way of highlighting how this works than to show.
And it's beautiful as well.
Project Wingman is a game that you really need to see to believe. Side note, the pacing of this game's missions are amazing. I liked it so much that I made a graph out of it, printed out the graph, and showed it to my neighbors.
Excuse me? Can you look at my graph?
Our first act begins with an insertion into Cascadia. There's money to be made, people to kill, and most mercenaries are still mad about the Australian incident. But it's obvious that relying on a single mute man is bad. So you're forced to watch as Los Angeles is bombed. Oh no, the horror. It's time to revise our strategy, rethink our options, bomb our own energy sources. This way, no one will
Nobody.
except Crimson One, who sees you doing this and gets mad. This will be a theme. Now it's time to steal a boat. We really need that boat, Monarch. It's imperative that you get the boat. By the way, while
destroys the
defending
boat.
said boat, we make the discovery that cruise missiles in this universe are pigeon-guided and exhibit traits of self-preservation. Now the war is really going on. Like,
What?
really going on. It's time to target a civilian airport because it will help the war. We're denying them potential recruits. They don't even know that they're being bombed because the Federation has been able to keep the war a secret for the past few weeks. This is due to the Great Firewall, which patriotically jams all the Wi-Fi across the entire country. There is only one course of action for me when denied of my YouTube. Violence. A lot of violence. Meanwhile, off the
Reminds me of a quote from, is it Helsinger Bridge.
You know, they say that TV makes you violent.
Not having my TV make me freaking fucking violent.
Coast of fucking Alaska, the Federation is sending transport aircraft to help in the war effort. These aircraft were intercepted, and then the interception was intercepted, progressing for 9 hours until the entire air force of the two nations are fighting in the same place. Every aircraft. And, wow, it's time to talk about that. Mission 11 is Project Wingman. The planes, the trails, the visual design, every character screaming into my ears at the same time. It is beyond perfect. An epic battle between two titans swayed only by a single mute psychopath. And that music. This track got me pregnant. I think this is a great time to talk about it because the music always fits. Whether it's low tones for a sneaky insertion or a beautiful symphony rising as you descend into battle. I played this mission without the soundtrack, you know, just to torture myself. And it's literally required. This game wouldn't be good without it, and that's a serious testament to the great work that's being done. Also, Crimson One is here, late as usual, and you just beat his ass. Kept in a top-secret facility somewhere on the American continent, there is a woman. You have to track her down. It's for the war effort. So you raid a woman containment facility off the coast of Yellowstone, and she boards her fucking super aircraft with railguns and the turn radius of a nickel. Woman eliminated. Now, let's go down the list. Attack Hawaii for no reason. That's on the list. Attack people in a forest fire. That is definitely on the list. Save civilian lives. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no.
That's not on the list. It's time to retake Seattle with the Federation in retreat and the war nearly won. With the Air Force in disarray, we're just one step away from... If you're surprised by this, you weren't really watching the video. Do you remember how I said that the Federation basically nukes all of Cascadia? That isn't actually true. It's worse. The Federation didn't just want to nuke us to win the war. They activated all of the cordium deposits in the ground. And do you remember when I said those were used for bombs? That's right. These fuckers just started a second apocalypse. In other video games, war is hell. But in Project Wingman, war is fucking orange. On our way back, we're assaulted again by the same woman. But at this point, I don't care. My retinas are damaged. The Fallout New Vegas part of the game has begun, and we're being sent to seize all of the bottle caps that we can hold. Thank you, Joshua Graham. You may notice the game is now very, very orange. That's what the entire rest of the game looks like, and yeah,
burn it all.
Almost immediately, we're sent back to Seattle to dab on the hordes of homeless people. This is when Crimson One returns, and this time he's very mad. He nuked his house to kill you, and that didn't even work. This leads to a dogfight, which is the dogfight for Mission 11 with additional mental illness. It's clear from the dialogue that Crimson One is not used to losing. Let's help him learn. It's fucking creepy, dude. Jesus. Have a fucking Snickers. With that detour out of the way, it turns out that nukes didn't really help the Federation win. It just made a bunch of guys dress up like the fucking Romans. And with the UN on its last legs, there is one final stronghold for us to bomb. Los Angeles. Fucking finally. We struggled to take the city, fighting foes in the air, on the seas, and attempting to flee my bullets. But after a long and arduous fight, we stand victorious over the city as the music begins to pick up in the back.
Joe!
God fucking damn it. He just does it again.
Hell is done!
Project Wingman's story is not a Homeric epic. It's not very realistic, nor is it reasonable on any level. But standing over the ruins of everyone that I hate, the sunny D flashing before my eyes, I come to the realization. Above all, Project Wingman is fun. None of the disparate parts of this schizophrenic game work by themselves. The combat is not Devil May Cry. The lore is not Tolkien. And we are not going to overcome our pride and prejudice. When you look at this, the game doesn't really seem that
pride and prejudice.
Like a chef,
oh my god. Okay, I didn't expect that.
Nuclear temperature and add enough rat poison. We will create a spicy blend that's so out of this world, so balls to the wall, that it makes everything taste perfect. The motivation of our final boss makes no fucking sense. His arc is schizophrenia, and his obsession with you is fucking funny. I've never seen someone write a character based exclusively off of projection, but standing where I am now, there's no one I'd rather fight. He's the perfectly goofy antagonist for a game mostly comprised of clown behavior. The music, the drama, the retinal damage. This fight is as ridiculous as the rest of the game, and I wouldn't want it any other way.
Goddamn orange. Come historia. Lauren Epsom.
How do you like being nuked, you son of a bitch?
I would like to thank my benevolent weapons manufacturers and
Wow.
defense contractors for funding this channel and enabling my deadly
That's
purchases. If you want to contribute towards the
was
channel and ensure perpetual
gorgeous.
conflict, you can head to my Patreon to learn more. Thank all of you for watching and flying, and of course, your salvation is at hand.
Guys, this was Project freaking Wingman. Jesus, that was good. Oh man, that editing, I was sucked in like halfway in. I didn't even know, like my senses were too locked into the video. Like max0r's editing skills is beyond anything. Like it's so frenetic, but at the same time you get everything, especially like if you have a bit of the knowledge of the memes that he's bringing up, and of course also geopolitics and all that. And I especially like how the boss Crimson one and like the whole game itself has like a complete disdain of the white glow of our sun. Like, it's way too bright. Look, everything has got to have that orange glow of the California's forest fires. Like, that's where it needs to be. Everything needs to be bright freaking orange. My word, this is a great game, and loving that it's been made by fans. But guys, thank you so much for checking out this reaction of max0r's video on Project Wingman. As always, highly recommend that you go and like his video. I know that he uploaded another one just today on Monster Hunter, so please go and check that one out. And as always, give the video a like if you liked it, and if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon as well to be notified whenever I drop something new. With that said though, I wish you to have a wonderful day. See you guys next one. Bye.